For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, episode 4. A month into this, and I've been having a really good time, I must say. I'm working like quadruple or quintuple duty on the radio, in the newspapers, and now here. But I have to say, this is a lot of fun. This whole podcasting is... I'm sounding like my dad now. This whole podcasting craze is really catching on. No, last week we had music legends Gloria Gaynor, Village People, and Casey and the Sunshine Band. Before that we had reality show stars Jeff Probst, host of Survivor, Phil Kogan, host of The Amazing Race, Lisa Gibbons, winner of Celebrity Apprentice. And now this week, Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, will be joining us in just a little bit. But, last week I mentioned... I gave you a quick commentary about the book that I wrote called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, and we had such great feedback. I'm going to go on another rant.
Scribble Dribble brought to you by SpeakFreeWithJB.com.
Thank you.
Check out syndicated newspaper columnist Jeremy Bradley's rants and raves in his weekly news and entertainment columns.
Yeah.
That's at SpeakFreeWithJB.com. Since he's paid to not shut up, God knows why. Once again, Jeremy Bradley.
I love when the announcer toots my horn. Thank you so much, Larson. That almost sounds like an HR incident, but it's not. So the book is called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, and it's putdownyourdamnphone.com or on Amazon or iTunes. Just look it up, you'll find it. Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. Now, last week I talked about that inner conflict when you are at a restaurant. It's dinner for 2, but table for 4, as we know, because each person has a cell phone in tow. But do you wait to see if the other person is going to pull out their phone first? Do you just naturally plop your phone on the table? Does it matter if you're at a work lunch or it's a date at dinner? I don't know. Does it matter? Would love to hear your thoughts, actually, by the way. You can go to thescribbleshow.com or tweet me up at thescribbleshow. But certainly restaurants are one place. Now, there's also something else that happens at restaurants. If you do not have your phone out on the table, do you excuse yourself to the washroom? And there's the two sides to this. So the person who's leaving and going to the washroom, they might just be doing it so they can check their phone. We know that, okay? So pretend that's you, right? Maybe you've gone 45 minutes without looking at your phone, and your hand is just killing you. It's just killing you. You want to grab your phone. So you just excuse yourself and you go to the washroom, right? And then as soon as you turn the corner, you go into the washroom. The person left at the table probably also whipping out their phone at the same time. You know that's what it is. So if that's what you're going to do, just why not both have your phone out during the meal and use it, right? So instead, the person is in the stall in the bathroom, probably, texting or whatever, and the other person at the table is kind of glancing up and looking, right? Is the coast still clear? Is it time to quickly put away my phone like I didn't have it out when they were away? You know what both of you were doing. Why bother putting up this charade? Seriously, folks, seriously. All right, so a bunch of rants like that. Not quite as animated or dramatic, but certainly, hopefully we'll give you a laugh. In the book, it's called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already. putdownyourdamnphone.com or also on Amazon and iTunes and any of those other digital download book website store things. All right, so the celebrity phone is once again lighting up. Cesar Millan, who previously joined me on my syndicated radio shows and called in and asked for my dog. I wasn't too impressed. He's joining us right now on the show. We're going to have an extended interview because he's gone through some crazy crap in his life. But what I admire most is that he talks about it. He's had, he's gone through ups and downs with a marriage breaking up. He's been so depressed that he wanted to commit suicide, but he at least talks about it. He feels better doing it. He helps other people, and that's what I admire. So let's go to the celebrity phone.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
You know, when I have troubles with my dogs, I think to call Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, because, well, really he knows what to do. He's joining us on the line right now. Cesar, I have wanted to chat with you for so long, and I'm amazed that you opened up in a brand new TV special that aired a couple years ago, and really gave some insight into your life. Let's talk about that. Let's jump right in there.
Well, for a long time, people have been asking me, we would like to know the story, how you came. I mean, people read the story in the books, but I think it was important to show a visual, how I came to America and the ups and downs that I went through. It's not an easy road to what I am and to what have I achieved. And I think, for me, inspiring and motivating people and showing, the how to get up, especially when you are in your lowest moment in life, is important. I show a little bit of what the world sees now. A lot of people don't know I do seminars outside America and the acceptance that people have and the transformation that happens all over the world. To me, the goal is really to help the world to live a certain lifestyle with their dogs, because if we do that, we can, eliminate aggression, anxiety, and really don't have to live with instability with our dogs. A dog can only becomes, whatever you allow him to become, and his goal is harmony. So I want to, promote and maintain that goal in mind as a world, and unfortunately, one of the things that you discover as you go around the world is how many dogs die, outside America. In America, 4 to 5 million die every year, but in the world or outside, it's 600 million, and that's something that we have to do something about it. We always make sure that the whales are fine and the dolphins are fine, but we're not doing anything about dogs, and that to me is something that we owe to them, since they do so much for us.
Yeah, now, this question is sort of aside from the special then, but you mentioned about, dogs dying and things like that. I mean, the laws vary from state to state, where, cruelty is defined one way in one state. I mean, what do you think needs to change then? Should it just be, the same laws across the country? Should they be stricter? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I think, as we all get involved, also our political leaders need to get involved. I like a quote from Gandhi: "The greatness of a nation is moral progress can be measured by the way its animals are treated." I think that we have to adopt that as a country, when we say we are a dog lover country, but then we turn around and we don't know how many die and how we can prevent that. Spay neuter is one of the things that will prevent that from happening, and why it's so important, spay neuter. And at the same time, in different parts of the world, dogs get killed in a different way. Or kill, actually. In America, our taxpayer money actually help for this phenomenon to happen. So in a way, we're all contributing unconsciously to this euthanization. So one way that we can stop them from that and utilize those taxpayer money for education is spay and neuter. It's like buckle up. It saves lives, and spay and neuter saves lives. But we have to do it as a country. Obviously, there is some education needs to be done. A lot of people think or still believe that if you neuter a dog, spay a female, they're not good for anything anymore. And that's actually not the case. All my dogs are spayed or neutered. And all my clients' dogs are spayed or neutered, and they still protect their house. That's one of the biggest things that a lot of people have an issue with.
Mm-hmm. But do you see that personalities in dogs change, though? Like, I mean, because I've got 2 dogs myself, and I heard that, they're going to be the same. They'll be, more easygoing once they're done. I mean, why do people have that hesitation, though? Is it just because they feel that the dog won't be the same after? Is that usually what you hear from people?
Well, it's the myth, before it was the Dobermans had a certain myth, and so the human love to create myth, but we don't really become educated about it. Daddy, the world loves Daddy, and actually I save his life when I neuter him. Prostate cancer is something that is very dangerous for a male dog, and so we need to educate ourselves to really answer all the myths, and really, okay, I want to see a dog that is neuter, but I want to see that he's not sad. Okay, you should do that. You know what I mean? I understand, because if you're not understanding about the outcomes or the truth, and then you should have a little bit concern about it. But at the end of the day, you need to do the research. But you will find out, the world will find out that nothing changes in a dog. Actually, since we live in this type of scenario, this modern society with proximities that are getting closer and closer, dogs that are not neutered, they don't have as many friends as the dogs that are neutered. So they're not as social, you know what I mean? Because even if they don't want to mate, the dogs who are neutered, they will come to the dog that is not neutered and smell and try to mount them, because he has a scent. So then, he's going to go into a defense mechanism and try to fight back. So we need to see it from a social perspective, where how is it my dog will benefit from it. And medically speaking, prostate cancer is number one.
Now, in that special that aired on Nat Geo a couple years ago, we saw your professional life and we know that side, but you opened up a lot about your personal life, and I really need to know what kind of brought that on. What was the inspiration or the motivation for opening up as much as you did?
Well, because it's really what inspires people. Obviously, everybody knows, right? I can, help dogs, but how do I help myself? And that's actually one thing that everybody looks for direction. And how did that guy do it, or how did that person do it? I think is we're all curious about how can we help ourselves, and one way to help somebody is by telling the story of what you went through. And many times people don't realize, how bad I had it, before. Because everybody sees a TV show, everybody says, oh, he's doing good. But not really. not really. I mean, I share my most intimate thing because I believe that it's important for transformation, for motivation, for inspiration. There's a lot of people that are in that situation where, they're depressed and they feel that they have no way out. And I was in that position, and I'm sharing my darkest, weakest moment. And this is the dog whisperer. This is the guy that says calm and assertive. And at one point he was not calm. He was not assertive. And how did he came back?
Yeah.
Rehabilitation in animals. Just as rehabilitation of humans. To me, it's about training human, right? If I train human to realize that we can get out of a certain state of mind, and then we can help each other, and we can help a dog. So to me, it's to inspire people. Hopefully that's what they get out of this special.
Well, I think it's really commendable, too. I mean, oftentimes we see when celebrities go through some major life changes, relationship, troubles, what have you, they go into hiding, they, go hush-hush. So, I mean, it's very commendable then that you're opening up, especially. And I think the viewers, or your fans, will respect you a little bit more after that because you're more relatable, I think, is how it would work. So I think
that's actually true, right? Because one of the things that Oprah always did is she always shared her weaknesses. She always say, how hard it was for her to lose weight, and that inspired me. That made me feel okay. So she's not this thing that often TV makes you believe, and so I can be like her. And to me, it's a human being that inspires people, and so I have the blessings to be trusted by people, and now that I can share my the ups and downs of my life, and I'm just like everybody else with a different mission. That's it. Some people would in this instinctual journey, depends. Because everybody, like right now, I'm really reconnecting myself back to my roots, which is something that I share. How I lost, how I got lost in just following, other people's journeys or goals, and so that really threw me off. My happiness went away, and I was not doing. Even though I was working with dogs, I was not going in the direction that I wanted to go, and nobody knows that, But now that I can share, and I lost all the money that I created in 9 years, and so nobody knows that, You think, okay, he's coming assertive and he's leading and he's going to do that everywhere, but that was not the case. But I learned my lesson, I learned, and that's I think. Sometimes by you sharing your bad, you can prevent you can help other people to prevent. Like contract wise, that's something that I learned.
Well, that's
so many great things. That is gonna make people understand, because they just know me as the guy with the dogs. They don't really know the other side of me, the father, the not longer husband, how he went through it, and the business aspect of it, and things that we don't show that on the show. That's not part of it.
I was going to ask what was the hardest detail in the story for you to share, but I guess you sort of touched on those just now. Yeah.
Well, obviously the point where I want to commit suicide, and I did try, but God was not ready to let me go. So that obviously that's the worst thing you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And very, very. You feel that you fail, and to the failure feeling, even though I'm in the top of the world, as far as other people might interpret it, I felt that I failed. And when you feel a failure, and especially at the intensity that I felt, it's like, what's the point of living?
Mm-hmm.
And then just, you do some to make some decisions. But, that's the part where God comes in and says, you know what? You're not ready. If I wanted you to die, I can kill you in so many different ways. So, no, you don't have that. And so, that's something that's the worst part of it. Obviously, the separation, that it was really difficult. I was in England, so I was not expecting it, and my kids became separated. My pack, to me, it's all about the pack, and now my pack is not together anymore. And just the anxiety and the fear and the depression, and again, it goes back to not feeling good enough. And here's a guy that feels good enough to save your dog.
Yeah.
So it's so contradicting, It's just the opposite of what I normally do for a dog. My life was not. Obviously, I got really angry at God because He said, I help dogs and you're not helping me, and all these horrible things that people go through. I went through. I'm sorry, But that's a really dark moment of my life. Mm-hmm.
I guess everywhere you go, it's sort of like a doctor, right? People are hitting you up for advice, right? Can you go anywhere without being stopped and asked questions?
When I get more a little nervous about it is when the pilot of a plane, we are in the air, comes out and say, I have a question. that really always freaks me out.
Yeah.
Because you want the pilot to stay right there, even though it's an automatic thing, but you do want it to stay right there. You never know. And so you're absolutely right. Anywhere in the world, anywhere. We were in Europe, and then we went to Asia. Anywhere in the world, people have questions about their dogs, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Except when I'm with my son, he feels like I'm a father at that time, and he feels he needs a time to be respected. But when you are in Japan, and people is like, what is he doing? Let me ask him a question about my Akita.
Well, I imagine as long as the pilot's not asking you if you know how to fly the plane, because that might be concerning.
I know, but it's kind of weird, He comes out and he asks me questions about a dog.
Yeah. Now, you know what? I said we're going to get to these questions in a second, but I have one for you. Who do you like more, people or dogs?
Well, I do enjoy, wisdom, and a lot of people have a lot of wisdom, and especially the elderly humans. I find a lot of comfort in that. Obviously, the dog is always accepting me, and regardless how I feel, and his main goal is to help me. And so, they don't live in this selfish world, and not always the humans in that state, but it depends, I do enjoy the wisdom of human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to these listener questions. Jill in Alva, Oklahoma says, I have 2 dogs. One is a puppy and the other is 3. I was told that the older one would teach and help train the younger one out of natural instinct. Why is it that when we walk, the younger one still pulls and is trying to be in front while the other older dog walks nicely like he always has?
Well, compatibility. When I rescue Junior, I didn't rescue a puppy that was higher level energy than Daddy. I didn't want Daddy to have the stress of too active of a puppy. So what I did is I rescue a medium level energy dog that was just like Daddy. So automatically Junior feels that he needs to be behind Daddy. But when a puppy feels that he has more energy than the older dog, he just goes in front. So there's just compatibility. And so, obviously, the puppy needs to be run or needs to be exercised before you bring him into the example of follow the older dog.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Danny writes, my dog listens to me just fine when we are home by ourselves, but as soon as someone comes over, it's like he doesn't hear me and goes nuts and jumps at that person. Totally doesn't listen to when I say stop, I become invisible. People always say to teach him not to do that. How do I teach him not to do something that he doesn't do to me?
it's two factors that we need to understand. Is number one is how did that person feels before the visitors come, because a lot of times the person feels, oh my God, he's going to jump on people. So that right away your energy is softer, therefore the dog can't really see you as an authority figure. The other factor is, can the humans who come and visit, or can she actually have a sign outside that says no touch, no talk, no eye contact, make sure my dog is calm before you actually pet him. So that also makes the dog understand that when a human comes through the door, the human is not going to acknowledge if it's excited. So that's a combination of, partnership between the two humans, and the dog is just the outcome of it.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard that too, that, if the dog jumps and then people start to laugh and then the dog thinks you're playing, right?
Well, the dog feels that you are agreeing with it. You see what I mean? Because a lot of people find it funny. A lot of people find it cute, and the owner often don't find it cute, so they don't get the support. It's all about the support of the pack. So a visitor becomes part of that support system.
Tanya in Scottsdale, Arizona, she writes, there's so many dog experts that tell you that one thing works while others say it doesn't. Is there any rhyme or reason, meaning scientific study, to their advice, or is it a matter of personal preference of the expert?
Well, the expert job is to really help you understand which one do you feel comfortable with. For example, to me, what I teach is fundamentals, and what she's talking about is techniques. So, for example, a Holty versus a prong collar, right? Many people don't like prong collars because they feel they're inhumane. Well, there is people who don't like the Holty because they feel they restrain the dog mouth. So it's not really the tool, it's how, what tool makes you feel calm or in control, right? So our job is to really educate the human and see, look, this is all your options. You have to let me know which one do you feel comfortable, right? And then I'm going to teach you how to apply it or how to utilize them. And more important, what we need to teach people is to understand when the dog is calm. Because a lot of times they want to teach a dog to do certain activity, but the dog is not calm. It's like the door situation, for example. One of the most important activities people need to learn is at the door. Because it's a threshold. It's a threshold of the outside world and the inside world. But a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people think is sit and stay. Wait, leave it. You know what I mean? But they don't realize that the energy that they're using is making the dog more anxious or more excited or more tense. So it's not really what you're saying or what you're using, it's the energy behind.
Okay, Rhonda writes, I have to move and my new place doesn't allow pets. I'm heartbroken that I've got to give up my dog. What side effects, or I guess maybe emotional changes, would this have on my older dog?
Well, did she have to get the dog away?
I'm guessing she's got to get rid of the dog, so potentially ending that relationship with the pet.
Well, it's definitely a big confusion. There's definitely, without a doubt, especially if they've been living together for 5-6 years. The longer, the more the dog is accustomed to it. What we need to find is a human that knows how to adjust right away. So the ideal for that dog is to go to a family that is stable with a dog, because that influences the dog right away. So when a person, for example, brings a dog to me, if the dog doesn't go through that experience, because I immediately get to work with that dog, so he doesn't have to suffer the separation and the abandonment feeling that they get, and the confusion that they go through. But it's very important that if the human can find a stable home, because that's going to influence his transition and it's going to make it less painful, and definitely avoid the visiting too soon. Because the dog is going to expect to go with a person, so at least give 2 to 3 months before they visit the dog again. At the end of the day, is what's best for the dog, right? So if she can't bring a dog to that environment, and she have to, in a way, be honest and let him know that she's probably never going to be live together again. It's a really hard thing, but it can be done. It's possible. It's very emotional, but at the same time, we have to understand the instinctual aspect of the transition, so the dog doesn't suffer as much.
Another question that we've had sent in is, when people are grieving, we're talking about emotional issues, when you have the loss of a pet, is it right to get another dog or another pet right away? Is it all about how you feel? Is it just a replacement dog then? What are your thoughts on something like that?
Never replacement. You can never replace. I can never replace Daddy.
Right.
I can only honor him. Right. And so when a dog passes away, if you're going to get another dog, it's because you're honoring and you're going to utilize everything that dog taught you. But, one of the things that we shouldn't do is that while we're in pain, we go and rescue the dog. The dog that you're about to rescue doesn't know you're in pain because another dog died. What he knows is you're in a very weak moment, therefore they don't feel protected. Mm-hmm. You see it?
Yeah.
What they sense is the human is so sad, is so weak, that if we don't protect the human, we're going to be in trouble. They don't interpret us as you mourning. So going through the experience of the mourning experience, I think is more healthy. Is you honoring, and never try to replace, because it's impossible to replace. Mm-hmm. You can only honor that dog by saving another dog's life.
Yeah, well, we've got so many other questions, but not enough time. We're out of time, Cesar, but
yes.
I know there's tons of information on your website for pet owners, dog lovers. What's the address for your website?
CesarsWay.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cesar Millan. Thanks so much for calling in today, Cesar. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
All right.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. Thanks again for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. Earlier when I talked about the book called Put Down Your Damn Phone Already, the website once again is putdownyourdamnphone.com. Pretty easy to remember, isn't it? But it's also on Amazon or iTunes. So if you're listening to this on iTunes, go over and get the book. Boy, we should have done that right from the very beginning. Hey, a 2-in-1 combo deal. But I want to thank Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, for joining us. Always insightful. Such a heartfelt conversation to have with a great guy like that. Now, I mentioned earlier in the show that I do host syndicated radio, and I'm in the newspaper. So if you do want more of me, and that's the thing, is that I'm not full of myself saying, hey, you want more of me, go check me out. But if you're enjoying the personality and the humor, go to speakfreewithjb.com. You just heard the ad for that. That's where some of my newspaper columns are posted, speakfreewithjb.com. Or you can even go to speakfreelive.com, which is the website for our syndicated radio shows, and you can tune in. It's 2 hours of music, whether it's top 40 or country music. We do that every week as well. Now, celebrity news and gossip, which is also really fun to talk about, is daily at entertainmentwrapup.com. Entertainmentwrapup.com. I'm a name dropper. I'm a link whore. I love it. I love it. I love it. But you know what? It's my podcast, and I'll cry if I want to. Which I won't, but I will just promote the hell out of myself. And really, that's what everybody does, whether it's on social media, primarily at social media, or in this whole podcast thing. The idea is for you to love me. And the more I can give you of myself, the better chance I have of pissing you off. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, you know what? I really am grateful. You know, we've been on the radio for 9 years on top of the charts, and I certainly don't have an inflated ego of myself. I love getting feedback from people. I don't think that we have the best show on the air, and I would never claim to say that. I love learning from you as to what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. If you tell me to shut up about something, I'll take that into consideration. So I really do love the feedback that we get from people, whether it's on the show, the radio show, newspaper, or here on the podcast. Definitely hit me up at thescribbleshow.com and also on Twitter at thescribbleshow. thescribbleshow.com and The Scribble Show on Twitter. All right, so I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Episode 5 of The Scribble. Can't wait. My name is Jeremy Bradley. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mind